awareness takes stillness, and it takes slowing down, and it takes clearing some things off of our plate to be able to allow room for those types of questions.
Yeah.
So it's not just going to be like, why? And that's not going to do it. We have to create a mind space for ourselves to engage in that sort of introspection.
Hi, I'm Caroline Howard, a biblical counselor and certified life breakthrough coach.
And I'm Chris Oneth, marriage and family therapist and executive director of Downey Park Counseling Associates.
Welcome to our next question, where we attempt to answer the questions of life through conversations in psychology and Christianity.
Remember, this is a place of discovery and definitely not the final answer. Okay, hi, we're back.
We're back.
So
It's August.
August. I'm kind of digging this new schedule where we record like 25 episodes in a day. Then we have like 6 months off. No, that's not how it is.
That's not at all drastic, but
No, yeah. God.
no, but then you
That
kinda,
would take like more than a full day.
That
Could you
would take,
imagine
well, probably about 20 hours.
25 episodes.
We would need to take some breaks though for meals and such.
and for sanity.
Yeah.
Because we're just starting. I'm already hungry.
Oh my
And I didn't
goodness.
bring snacks.
Luckily, I had David's tacos once again. I am addicted to whatever they put in there.
I had David's pumpkin seeds.
No. Hey, so we took we recorded 5 episodes last time, and we had a lot of time off, and we did a lot of adventurous things. At least I did.
The whole month of July.
Whole month of July.
Yeah.
And endured some 110-degree days here in the valley. It's kind of a rip-off today because it's hot and cloudy. It feels like the East Coast.
I like it.
I do too, because the sun's not directly beat, but then you get the humidity.
I like humidity though.
It's nice to just have like the change though, like something
I'll
different.
agree. I agree with that.
It is. I do like humidity. I'm naturally curly hair, so humidity is great for it.
Oh, me too.
And I like the sticky feeling on my skin because it makes it feel moisturized.
Oh, hey, but I hear it's better for your skin, the
It's great.
humidity.
Like when I've only been to Hawaii. I want to be like, I've only been to Hawaii a few times. I've been to Hawaii a few times.
First world problem.
I know, right? And I love it because by like day 2, I'm like, I don't even need body lotion. I'm just like,
Wow.
I'm moisturized.
Good gravy.
I love that.
All right. Well,
Okay. So have you had adventures in
I had
July?
total adventures.
Let me act shocked. What?
I am in the development of an entirely different adventure that I'm going to have at the end of September, early October.
Oh, I heard about this one.
So we'll have to talk about that
Okay.
later.
Yeah.
But I went north of Fort Bragg with some buddies of mine, off-road on the motorcycles, camped near a beach, Usel Beach. Did some more off-roading. Didn't dump the bike, but I did, quote-unquote, park it on the side of a log. And
Wait. So I know what dumping the bike means. What does it mean if you just quote unquote park it?
Well, that's the label I'm putting on it. Because it was weird because it kind of remained upright, but I kind of jumped off the bike.
So the bike was upright. You were not.
No, I was.
Oh, you were too.
As the bike was kind of going over the log, and if it went over the log, then
What was on the other side of the log?
the abyss. No, forest and stuff.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're still here.
No, I mean, guys, it wasn't like I was like on the like hard pavement and all of a sudden started going up a log. We were off road and I was avoiding a rut and we were on the dirt.
Okay.
And so I kind of, at low speed started to go up the side of this log.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa, not good. So my body automatically like ejected from the bike and I was like, okay, it's cool. It's cool. And then we just upright. It was kind of leaning over a little bit and then we uprighted it and I jumped on and away we went.
I like that. Parking. You've created a new
There you go.
term.
Yes. And I got a picture with me and the bike. So
Fun.
that's part of what you do when you
Okay.
dump your bike with your buddies.
You take a
somebody
picture.
grabs a phone and say, we got to.
Nice.
Yes.
Any concussions?
Not at all.
Good. Not that you remember.
Not even kind of. Although the temperature variations were incredibly.
Oh, yeah.
We started off in the valley, 110.
Dude.
Not fun.
Nope.
We made it to the coast, low 60s.
Wow.
The day we went off-roading, our campsite, low 60s, get off-road, about 75, beautiful weather. We get back on kind of road down to Shelter Cove, which is Northern California coast. had lunch, jumped back on the bike, and it was like overcast, marine layer, probably high 50s, low 60s, something like that.
Nice.
Jump on the bike, head over to Highway 101, where it got to 95 degrees.
Jeez.
And then so we had to take a layer off, and then back on one, back to our campsite. And I did not bring enough like long sleeve warm clothing.
Oh, bummer.
For when the sun went away.
Bummer.
But it was crazy because they on Usel Beach people bring fireworks that are like insane. We're talking like the mortar, like big money fireworks.
Nice.
And that night there was overcast, so they had fireworks in the overcast.
Can
big
you see them?
explosions. Yes, you could, but it's like watching fireworks in the fog.
Wow.
Oh, it was something else.
That's cool.
It was very cool.
That's cool. We did fireworks.
Yes, we did. That's exactly right. We did. My wife got annoyed at me for running around with
the firework in your
fireworks
hand
in my hand
after it had been lit and was going off.
So please understand, we live in California, which means a baby could operate the fireworks they sell in California. And by the way, every single fireworks they sell, California reg, is the same firework. It's just a different package.
I mean, yeah, but there was some variety.
It's all quote unquote safe and sane,
It was.
which is
But you said
Which is a
ouch a few
disappointment.
times.
it is a
Chris, so-
total disappointment.
Okay, it's safe and sane, but it's still fire.
Yeah, but you could run your hand over it. You could do a bunch of stuff that it's like, come on.
Is this like
Now,
a
I wouldn't
burning
squeeze it.
bush
I wouldn't-
situation?
Yeah, right. I wouldn't squeeze the like fiery lit up part with my hand. No, but it's
I don't know.
they over safe it.
Okay. I'm not a fireworks girl. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
They all scare me.
Me either.
Oh,
You're not
Oh.
a fireworks girl either.
he's not a fireworks girl. You know, I just wanted to say, Caroline, you are the prettiest girl in this room. That's
Just to clarify, I'm the only girl in this room,
Wow.
but thank you so much, Chris.
well.
that
you
might
know,
be the
I hope
nicest
that doesn't have you feeling
thing
uncomfortable.
you ever said to me.
Hey, you know, I got to throw out the
man.
compliments where they're due.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, so our question today, our next question is
Why ask why?
why?
Why ask why? Well, asking why is important.
It is.
So that's where we're going.
Yes.
Before we get there,
We're gonna start with the-
we found an article, and here's the crazy thing: we
This is-
both found the same article
Yes.
in totally different fashion.
You did. You texted me yesterday, a couple days ago, and you said,
did.
"Hey, come with some articles." And I said, "Okay."
We did.
And I came up with this one, and then you said, "I have this article on being late," and I was like, "Oh, me too."
So this is one of those, and it does tie into why ask why. Although we could
Okay.
probably do an episode on some of these articles we'll be sharing in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did you get from the article? What did it?
Well, let me ask you this first. So the article is like the psychology
first.
of lateness.
Yes.
And I love the subtitle is why you should be 8 minutes late, but not one more.
Yes.
Right. So there is this like, there's this fine line of lateness and not late and all of that. Are you a late person?
Tastefully late. I have to confess that I am.
Okay.
I know why I am, which is part of what is mentioned in this article. That's why I agree with it. I don't agree with everything in the article, but again, I don't necessarily, I don't know a lot of people that might be late because of some of the reasons they propose. But
Right.
Time is an interesting thing. You know, people philosophically, they would say it's a man-made construct. And so therefore, we subject ourselves to the master on the wall.
Well, that's what late people say.
Who's going to say it? You say that.
As I was saying it, I go, I hope this is not just setting me up for, said the late guy. So
Okay. So why,
yes.
why are you late? Just because is that what
Are
you're
we
saying?
going there now? Yes. Why am I late?
Well, yeah.
I am late because I don't have a very good relationship with time.
Okay.
Time is distorted to me.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of reasons for that, I think, and it relates to some of the what the article says. The article posits a few things.
Yeah.
There could be passive aggressive control involved
Yes.
with being late. I don't know that that's where I am. I love and I feel great when I'm on time.
So then why don't you strive for that more?
So hold on.
Okay.
No, but as far as passive aggressive
Yeah.
control, people can like internally resist having to be somewhere at some time, and so they don't pay attention to the cues and the markers that would say, oh, I should leave at this time.
Yeah.
There could also be inadvertent attention seeking, believe it or not, because there's a lot of people who are chronically late, as the article points out, and then will make a huge production about apologizing to everyone, and they will, move furniture and, excuse me, with people, excuse me, and then they might grab attention from the meeting if they're late to a meeting and stuff like that. I am none of those
Better late
things.
than never.
Better late than ever.
Or the party can start. I'm here now.
Another control aspect can be like, I don't feel comfortable being early because then I'm the only one there.
Well, he does say, like, when he closes out the article, he does say that being early is just as rude as being late.
Yes, because and this goes back to every healthy behaviors and unhealthy behaviors and extreme of healthy behavior, right? You can be where you are 20 half hour early to a party and they're not ready for you,
right?
But you just show up and be like, okay, I'm here. I'm going to wait in the corner and I'm going to eat the spinach dip
that you made look all pretty, and now no one will see that it was pretty because I already did it.
Because Joe's here. So I'm just saving people from that.
Yeah. I'm the person who will arrive early and then sit there till it's time to go in.
There you go. Until you see other people go in?
No.
Okay.
I'm okay being the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I would say Melanie would arrive early and then wait till she sees other people go in, and then she'll be. It depends on also on how well she knows the people that she's going to.
Right.
If she doesn't know them, then she won't go.
I mean,
throw her under the bus.
I'm kind of the same way. So
no, but I don't mind arriving early. Again, I don't want to arrive too early, super awkward. But 5 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. Well, and it depends on where you're going too.
Yeah, totally.
Right. Some places it's like, dude, if you're here early, please come in. I want to hang out with you. Don't just sit in the car.
Totally.
But there's some people who are like, dude, please come late. I'm not really thrilled about this.
Well, if you're going to a work meeting,
with, no.
I mean, yeah. Anyway,
work meetings.
Caleb, what about you? How about you? Seem like an on time.
I was thinking about it. I tend to be on time, but I feel like for more of like, I don't know, when I get together with like friend group or something, there's kind of an expectation that everyone show up like 10 to 15 minutes after the time that is established. I think that's kind of a cultural thing. Maybe it's just in my friend group, or maybe it's people my age.
I think it's been around for a while.
We say 7, then people show up around 7:15.
Yeah, fashionably late.
See, that would drive me crazy. I'm like, we said 7.
Especially when you hold, as an employer here, I hold work meetings, and so it does drive me insane when people are late. Except for me.
All your people are hearing that right now.
I know. It drives me insane because part of it does say, I mean, whether it's intended or not, what it puts across the message is, I don't really care about this meeting.
Yeah.
I don't care, to hear what's going on. I don't necessarily need to be involved, or, I'm a person apart instead of like adhering to the team.
Yeah.
So
well, like he says, my time is more important than your time. It's
potentially.
It's saying.
Well, and even the article pointed out, it might not be like an explicit, like, hey, I'm sticking it to you guys.
Yeah. But
that's kind of the interpretation and the result.
And I think that's the key and the important thing to remember when you are going to be late. Yes, it's partly about why are you late, but it's also about what is that other person. What are you putting on that other person?
Sure.
To have to deal with or think of.
It's like cleaning up your own mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like if you don't clean up your mess, you're putting it on someone else.
Well, and in this day and age, we have phones. I mean, you have alarms you can set of when it's time to leave.
Oh, man.
And if you still don't leave on time, text the person. I'm so sorry, I'm going to be late.
Sure. Totally. Until you find yourself having to do that again and again and again.
I know. Well, all my friends, I just make them share their locations with me.
Oh.
And then I'm always like, I see you're like, yeah.
How does that pulled off?
It's great.
It's like, can you sign this contract?
Oh, no, I just say, here's my location. Give me yours.
Oh, what if they don't reciprocate, number 2?
They all have.
Okay, then. Well, you're going to run into somebody. You're going to run into somebody. I'm not going to share my location with you.
And then we stalk each other, and it's great.
And you're going to be like, my gosh, I would share my location with you.
Exactly.
And you're not sharing it with me?
No, and then I'll be like, never mind. You can't have my location if I can't have yours.
Do I write that one down as a Caroline impression, or is that? I don't know what that was.
You tell me.
Wow.
Do I sound like
that? No. So my problem with time is that I often expect I can do more than the time allotted. In other words, again, it's a distortion. So I've come to find that I can do certain things in a certain amount of time that I'm just not able to pull off.
Yeah.
So I will have a habit on Sunday mornings getting up and then sitting and making myself breakfast and watching a certain program. And Melanie will see me and she says, "Why don't you get ready for church?" Because I'm still in my bed clothing. And she'll be like, "Why don't you get ready for church and then you can watch your program? That way you're not rushing." And you know what? She's absolutely right. Because oftentimes I will wait till the last minute to start to get ready, and then I will be rushed, and then I'm rushed all the way through, and it happens at work. And then when I do it at work, I'm a snob.
I mean, you are a snob.
When I go to work, because everybody thinks, "Oh my gosh,
this is what I tell my kids whenever we go to a store. I've told my kids since they were this.
I thought you said this is what I tell Mike.
This is what I tell my kids.
What are you going to a store with Mike for?
Which Mike?
Yeah,
I know a lot. Is we have to do what we first we do what we have to do, then we do what we want to do.
See, I didn't have a mom like that. I had a mom that was late to everything too, and so she demonstrated to me, "You'll get there eventually." Oh man,
they'll wait for you.
I have childhood trauma because of her lateness.
Gosh, yeah, and that's so crazy because I don't see you as a late person. You're usually like well, when you come to my house, you're on early, but that's because
who do I bring? Who do I bring?
I know
with me?
you bring your amazing wife.
Otherwise, I'm not invited.
To work, you're exactly. Oh, Mel can't come. You don't need to come either.
All of a sudden, we're doing something else.
Just kidding. But to work, you show up on time.
Yes,
you're not late.
No,
but you're on time. But
sometimes
early.
More, just like 5 minutes before a session or 10 minutes, because I like to. Ideally, I would like to arrive and then say a prayer and look at notes and contemplate a little bit. That is ideal for me. And we'll talk about that in a later episode about quietness or noise or whatever. But yeah, being able to, for a lot of people, being able to build within your schedule, like, okay, I'm going to not leave 15 minutes before, but maybe a half hour before. Therefore, I'm not so uptight.
Yeah.
Which totally works.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's great when you walk into the office and your client's there and you're just like, "Oh, come on back. Sorry, I'm late."
I know. That's weird. Okay.
I've never seen that happen with you.
So, So mine is more of the self-deception round, a distorted relationship with time.
Okay. I get that.
Yes.
I get
that. So there you go.
Okay.
So I confess.
We will link, put a link to this article in the show notes for you guys. So you can read the article in its entirety and figure out why you're late. And
you can be on Oxford time. Look it up.
You should be on Caroline time.
Oh boy.
I'm just joking.
Okay. So, why are we asking why?
Why?
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep saying
because
thoughts?
Chris said so.
Wow.
This as soon as you told me the title of this episode or the question, I just, my kids, children rang in my head. But why? But why? But why?
So there's the interesting thing about that is you can interpret that in a couple different ways. You can interpret that as you little brat, you're just trying to get out of things.
Yeah.
Which is probably me as a young parent. It'd be like, come on, kid, just accept it. Mm-hmm. Which is an irony because I, back then, would just do certain things out of accepting it and not questioning.
Yeah.
Or you can take that, of course, as a learning opportunity for the kid, and the kid's just trying to figure it out, and being able to accept that, and then be okay with the inquiry. In fact, being able to adopt that stance yourself.
Yeah, and I learned this because both my middle daughter and my son were they questioned everything.
Oh,
and at first it felt like disrespect.
Yeah, because you were part of a legalistic church.
Exactly. I totally was. And it was like, just do what I say. But then I had a really sweet friend tell me, "Hey, my son was like this." Because I was expressing to her how frustrating it was. And it wasn't a sign of disrespect. It was just, they needed to know how it worked.
Oh, isn't that great?
To do it.
Yeah.
It was.
That's why we know the rules and the
Yeah.
boundaries. And sometimes it's just curiosity. But I think kids are also so much more interested in fairness and understanding why does it have to be this way than adults are. Sometimes they'll just kind of accept, they said not to do this. So
well, I was told by my mom.
The kid.
Yeah, when it came to fairness, my mom said if fair was fair, we'd all be burning in hell. So that's what I got when I asked why.
But I'm 5.
Thanks, Mom.
So, Caleb, were you a why kid?
Oh, you'd have to ask my parents. I'm not sure.
Do you feel like
Probably
a why guy
to
now?
some extent.
Why guy?
I don't think so. I think I kind of tend to accept things, but I definitely have a nephew who's a very why kid.
Yeah.
And but he's such a curious kid too. He wants to know like how everything works.
Wow.
He will like get electronics and like that are like old and no one's using and take them apart and try and like rebuild them. And he's
That
like,
is definitely my grandson, Samuel.
Okay.
Yeah.
and he just wants to know like how everything works, and also he like it can be like spiritual questions too. Of
That's
like,
amazing.
That's always fun to interact with him.
And
in
I
that
think
way.
as adults, if we went at that with more of an open mind of of not curiosity killed the cat, but curiosity
Satisfaction brought it back.
Well, yeah, and I think that's ingrained in us in kids, right? That like curiosity is annoying,
right?
When we have our kids, we're like, just because I said so, or whatever,
right?
It's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, when we grow into adults, we stop asking why because we don't want to be
beat it
annoying.
out of them,
Right?
figuratively.
And then we just become robots. We'll have to do it because that's what they told me to do.
Well, okay, so if we can kind of get to a reason for the why, I posit that it's about looking deeper into reasons, motives, and actions. Excuse me. Let me start that over. Looking deeper into reasons, motives, actions, and outcome of our own and others' behavior.
Okay.
Or even the environment, right?
Right.
Why is this building put like this, or why is this house built in this way?
Yeah.
Helps us to actually engage with the external in a relationship, much like we engage in a relationship with ourselves and with others.
Right. Right. Well, and that's what I mean. I immediately think of why do I do the things? Right. Why do I do the things that I do? I
could tell you.
Then no, I've asked.
Right. That's
I've
good.
asked myself that so much.
Yes.
To tease it out to figure out why.
Yes.
And then I just think of Paul, who was like, why do I do what I don't want to do, and why can't I do what I want to do?
Sure. So there is precedent in God's word for asking ourselves why. However, our culture doesn't lend to that. No. And when I say culture, I mean like the popular culture with our, capitalism and our consumerism.
Yeah.
And I'm not poo-pooing any of that stuff. I live a comfortable lifestyle with consuming things.
Yeah.
But also to be able to ask, why is that? And why is it this way and that way with whatever environment we're in, including our church environment? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But as we alluded to before, sometimes the legalistic church, which is definitely not introspective.
No.
It's more about adhering to rules and monitoring others' behavior.
Yeah.
Others, not ours.
Right.
Monitoring in a sense, monitoring ours for the sake of the community we're in, not necessarily because, we have these deeper understandings and epiphanies about our own behavior, because that would entail we ask why we do things.
Yeah.
And so part of the benefit of asking why even differentiates your faith from potentially your parents' faith.
Yeah.
And
sure.
creates more
healthy.
of a solid reality to it, and not just that's the way they did it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Which I think is why it is so important for you to allow your children to ask why. Right?
Yes.
Because I was not a why kid. I was a do as I was told.
Sure.
And it took me years as an adult to find my own faith.
So that's funny. So, I don't know, overt or covertly, if that was instilled in you to not ask why, or if that's I imagine it would be both part of your makeup, your personality makeup, and maybe an inadvertent message.
Yeah. I was a don't rock the boat.
Oh.
And asking why might rock the boat.
Ah.
Or I was told because I said so a lot.
Ah, okay.
And so that just became the period. Everything was, it's a period, not a question mark.
So I went from, I had my stepdad, and he was raised in a very strict, abusive home.
Yeah.
And so his saying was, if I ask you to jump, I want you to ask how high. If I tell you to jump, I want you to ask how high. Like not even a reaction, like almost a military obedience.
Okay. So you were allowed to ask questions, but it was
No.
But it was a
How
certain
high?
Yeah.
How high?
It was
Too high.
it had to be related to I want to do this right for you. So let me make sure that it's right for
the
you.
only questions were how to do it the best way.
Yes, so I don't disappoint you, so I don't let you down, so I don't get your wrath.
Yes, totally. And then and I was never good at conformity or whatever. In that time I was, ADD kid and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And then when he passed away at 11, it was like I had essentially no rules. And so I took that no rules and then became like, no, rules are everything. Right? We need parameters. And so I was pretty strict with my kids.
Yeah.
And so I don't think in that realm, and mom, to her credit, was trying to survive raising 2 kids.
Right.
So she was just grinding it all day, and so and she used to work all day, come home, fold the laundry, and I'd be like, Mom, there's nothing to eat.
What a jerk.
Well, I was.
Why didn't you fold the laundry?
I've forgiven myself, Caroline.
I might have to work through that. I'm just kidding.
No, but I didn't question things either. She didn't question things.
Yeah.
We didn't question things. And so we just kind of get caught up in life and everything else. And, then not questioning things, I think for me led to like, you just conform or stuff makes you happy or whatever.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until years later that I started to, in some ways I was, and we've talked about on this podcast, rebellion, when to rebel.
Yeah.
In some ways I was rebellious, but then again, you rebelling against what and joining whom?
Yeah.
Because you can join a rebellious group and not be rebelling with them.
Right.
Conforming.
Yeah.
Then you're not a rebel. A rebel lives off in the woods by himself, I guess.
And parks his bike.
It parks his bike where he wants.
It's interesting, right? Because I know we keep coming back to like kids and we get irritated when our kids ask why. But we as children of God, like there's so many examples in the Bible of people asking God why.
Yes.
So Moses in Numbers asked, why have you dealt ill with your servant? David asks, oh Lord, why do you stand far off? Why do you hide yourself in time
why
of
have you
troubles?
forsaken me?
Yeah. Habakkuk, why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Job, why do you make me your target?
Yes. Where were you when I built the foundations of the earth?
The disciples asked why a lot.
Yes.
Where I'm sure Jesus got quite irritated with them.
Well,
but
no, that's the funny thing is that in our church culture, yes, we assume Jesus gets irritated because we project our own irritation onto him.
Right.
But he might have been just like, oh, good question. Let me tell you.
Well, here's what's really crazy. Jesus asked why.
Oh.
My God, why have you forsaken me?
Right, quoting the psalm.
Right. And in every one of these cases, God either answers them directly, reminding them that he was in control, or he makes the person kind of wait to see how God works it out.
Okay.
With everything and see the bigger plan, which, I mean, sometimes you do need to tell your kids, well, hey, right? Like, it's my favorite when someone's watching a movie with you and they know you've watched it before or you haven't and they're why did they do that? What do you think's going to happen? And it's like,
oh my, who does that?
Just watch the movie.
That is a ban from the movie. You cannot talk during the movie.
So there are times where it's like, hey, if you just wait, I know you'll get the answer.
Ooh, so there's an impatience there wanting to.
Right. But don't we all want to even know that with our life plan that God has? Okay, God, just show me the picture and I'll be just fine.
So that's an interesting, because then it's okay to ask why. Absolutely, it's okay to ask why. We should ask why, but it's also equally important to wait on the answer.
Yeah.
And maybe the answer is never forthcoming.
And you might not like the answer.
Yes. And it's like, can you answer it again just in the way I like?
Right. Right.
It's like, I don't like that answer.
Yeah.
How about another one?
Sometimes maybe don't ask because you're not going to like the answer and you just need to walk through it to get to the end where you might like what happened.
Yes. Okay.
So sometimes we have to keep our mouth shut.
So just being aware in our church culture, even encouraging the asking of the why.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We need to have depth in our faith, and if we don't ask why, something's going to happen. A life ass whooping is going to happen.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be prepared.
No.
And so many people get this life ass whooping and they don't want to like ask why. And so they grow embittered and then separate from God. And I think I'm going to speculate here, but I think a lot of the deconstructionists, of course, they're deconstructing some of the legalistic faith they were raised in,
right?
But potentially they don't ask why and then dig deeper and then have their faith grow and change. They simply just throw rocks at the whole of this faith that they think is always legalistic and punishing and everything else.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's not fair. Chuck some rocks. It's not fair.
Yeah. And it seems to me if you ask yourself, okay, why were my mom and dad like that? Or why was this church like that? You could come up with some answers like, well, they were afraid and they were controlling and all this other stuff. Well, is that the gospel?
Well,
no.
Right. And I think that's perfect. Like you said, why were my parents like that? If every child, adult child, younger child would stop and ask themselves that question,
right,
they would have so much grace, compassion, and understanding for their parents and realize all their issues aren't their parents' fault.
Which is a total irony because even though they aren't aware of it, they become just like the parents they didn't like.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's Well, no, because I'm different because I'm not a Christian. No, you're doing the same thing. It's just a different label.
Yeah.
Okay, so
or you pendulum swing. They did it this way, so I'm going to go way over here and do it this way.
Yes,
the other extreme.
Yes, the other extreme. Instead of trying to figure out, maybe I should try how to do it right.
Well, yeah, even though the other extreme has its very own legalism and structures that those structures do not want you to question them.
Yeah.
Woo, dog. Okay,
For sure.
So of course, why of ourselves in the relationship with ourselves, personal. Why relationally, our relational style, our motivations and actions, people groups, including our families.
Family schmamly.
Schmamly. So many people are so used to the water they're boiled in, which is their family, that they don't come to a realization, I was talking with some folks the other day who are grown and out of the house and have kids of their own, and they were visiting her family, I think it was.
Okay.
And her dad was a type of person where and again, he had no knowledge of this because he and his wife were all about like counseling young couples in the church and just being there for them. Except unless this man's grown kids had something to offer him, he wasn't interested.
Wow.
And so the daughter of the couple I was talking to, when she was away in college, she had asked her mom, well, how come you and mom don't come out and visit me like, you have with so-and-so and so-and-so? And her mom's answer was, well, you're not really into sports. And so there's, we don't ever really have a reason to come out and see you.
Ouch.
I'm like, wow. Right. Okay. So this is a blind spot that this man has in his family.
And good for the daughter for asking, why don't you come? She asked why.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Totally. And so it creates a situation in a family that, families go along with this stuff and they don't ask why. And so we need to ask ourselves, what is my motivation here? Or how have I been taught to act in certain ways that I may be blind to and I might have to kill off in order for the best part of me or for the Lord to heal me and be resurrected.
Yep.
Yeah. And then of course our external asking why is how we fit in the environment. Why is my room so messy?
Is your room messy?
Why am I so bad at cleaning up? My room is not messy because my wife, it's a tiny house. So
I'm pretty sure most men would say that. My room is not messy because of my wife.
It's weird. I leave and then I come back and all the stuff puts itself away.
I will never forget one time my husband and I stayed the night and we stayed at a hotel. And, left the next morning, came back to the hotel room and the bed was made. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I love staying in hotels. You leave, you come back. And he goes, well, it's like that for me every day at home.
Oh, that's the wrong thing to say. You're like, not anymore.
Now I just make my half of the bed. And if he wants his half, he can make it himself.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so so the next, I guess, question here is how do we start to engage in the why?
Okay.
Well, first of all, just like so many other things, it actually takes awareness, of course, and it's easy to say awareness. How do we develop awareness? Well, awareness takes stillness, and it takes slowing down, and it takes clearing some things off of our plate to be able to allow room for those types of questions.
Yeah.
So it's not just going to be like, why? And that's not going to do it. We have to create a mind space for ourselves to engage in that sort of introspection. So, yeah.
That makes sense, right? When we keep going and going and going, then we don't stop to ask why, because we're just filling the space.
Yeah.
And again, we put our heads down, we go forward, we do whatever whoever says to do, whatever it is.
And believe it or not, our consumerist culture really pushes against sitting and thinking about this.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of, it's an emergency, you need to buy this thing, or your life must be hard because you don't have this thing. So there's this, there's this
it's
sense
why people take their phones to the bathroom.
Oh boy, yeah, no kidding. And it's the joke where, I if I go to a sporting goods store or something, name whatever hobby I have, the staff will ask me, well, can I help you with anything? And I'll just say, well, I'm just walking around to see what I need.
Because I'm sure there's something
I didn't know I needed that,
in there.
Right? And so being able to stop and to slow down and say, okay, let me why do I want this thing?
Yeah.
Because it takes effort to ask why and to rethink. It's easy to just go along with the way things have been, or with what you're told. But
it's funny you should mention that, Caleb, because that is my number 2 about the elements of asking why, is it takes effort. And of course, we've been trained in our culture. Don't make an effort. It's so easy. Here, do this. And so potentially moving from one, and by the way, when I say effort, I'm not talking about doing an extra thing. I'm talking about moving from one effort to shifting it to another effort. So in our constantly not thinking things through, right? That does take a certain amount of effort.
Yeah.
And we get used to it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I never really thought about it. Is it the old, there's an old story about cutting the end of a roast off. I think we talked about, anyway, in some fashion, I've talked about this before.
Okay.
So, husband and wife get married, wife cooks this roast, and she would, cut the end of the roast off and, then put it on the pan, stick it in the oven. And she did this for years. And husband was like, I don't understand why you cut the end of the roast off. And she was like, my mother always did that, and I didn't understand. And so she talks to her mother and says, Mom, why do you cut the end of the roast off? She says, because when you were growing up, our oven was so small it didn't fit the whole roast.
Oh, gosh.
Well, I guess I could
so all these years
save that bit of meat.
Wasting
that's
the roast.
Crazy, because that's how generational things are passed down.
Yeah.
Because no one ever stops to process and think about how things could be different or why they were done in the first place.
Totally.
Just how Grandma did it, so that's how we do it.
And if there's so much noise in our life that we just don't even have time to, because the easy thing to do is, why? And then, I don't know. And then just stop trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
It takes a little more effort to sit and really, maybe it's this and maybe it's that, right? And you don't have to get it perfect every time. You can just explore, maybe it's this, maybe it's that,
Yeah. Well, so because you say that, and I think of, I don't know why, this just popped in my head, folding towels.
Oh.
Everybody folds towels differently. Right?
I don't know about that.
I think bath towels, people fold them.
Chris doesn't know. He doesn't fold towels.
I know. Oh, that's right.
I'm confused. What is this folding towels?
Person.
That's weird.
So I know, my husband and I would fold towels differently, and when he would fold them, this was at our old house, I would get frustrated because he didn't.
Oh my word!
It's not. He didn't.
He's
fold them.
doing something.
I know, but he didn't fold them, quote unquote, right. But it was because the way I folded them, they would all actually fit in the cupboard. If you folded them this way, if you folded them the other way, they wouldn't all fit in the cupboard, and then he'd leave the other ones just sitting on top of the cupboard.
Oh, so it represented a whole different thing to you.
So that's why ask why? And I would say, why aren't you folding them this way? And he would just, this is how I fold them. But if you say, why are you folding the towels this way? Well, because then they'll all fit in the cupboard.
Aha. Very good.
So
Love
just
it.
little things like that.
So as far as the effort, moving from one effort to the next, it takes conscious effort to overcome subconscious action until the new action becomes subconscious.
Yes.
Conscious effort to overcome subconscious action, and that is the basis of change. Is first we are aware. And maybe that's part of the why. Could this be better? And look, you look at conflict in relationship, conflict in couples, being able to stop and go, could this be better? And not necessarily go into the easy answer of, just find a new partner. No, I mean, how can this be better? And what can I be doing different instead of, well, it would all be fixed if they, yes. And finally, I think it's fun. Yeah, finally, it takes practice. It takes doing it again and again and again. Yep. It's not necessarily something our culture is comfortable with.
No.
When you start saying, I'm not going to get the latest, greatest thing, or I'm not going to do this that way or this that way, whatever culture you're in, whether a family culture, church culture, or general culture at large.
Yeah. I tried that. It didn't work for me. How many times did you try? Well, once.
It felt
didn't
weird
work for me.
It felt weird.
Yeah, it felt different, so I didn't like it.
Yes. Don't know. Well, how's that working for you? Okay, awesome. So we want to encourage you to start to ask why and help your kids start to
let your kids ask why.
Yes, it goes to the deeper stuff. Don't just let them ask
why. Answer their questions.
Yes. I'm not answering you. I'm stonewalling you.
You can ask as much as you want, but I'm not telling you the answer.
Well, and then be comfortable with them asking why, but then also be comfortable with yourself asking why.
And if you're getting irritated at them asking why, ask yourself why you're getting irritated at them asking why.
Oh boy. And then get to the real feelings. I'm not just irritated. I feel uneasy. I feel anxious. I feel,
And my brain is tired. It doesn't want to work anymore.
Oh, yeah.
That's every mom. So, okay. Nice.
Well, there you have it. Good.
There you have it. All right.
Hey, if you appreciated this podcast, leave a review. And leave a review and say something? Oh, well, tell a friend. Leave a review, tell a friend.
Tell us.
Tell 5 friends.
Tell 10 friends.
10 friends.
What is this? Some kind of pyramid scheme we got going on?
Exactly. Yes. And as always, we love to hear your feedback, and we love it when you come around and listen to the program.
Yep. Feedback. You can give us feedback. We do have an Instagram account. Our next question. Someone will eventually start checking the messages there.
Perhaps.
You can email both of us. We have contact stuff in the show notes. There's ways to contact us and leave messages. So
thank you, Caroline.
Read that.
Okay.
All right. Next time.
Thanks for joining us today as we continue our journey talking about life's many questions.
To stay connected with us, you can follow us at Downey Park Counseling on both Facebook and Instagram. You can also follow Caroline on Instagram at Relatable Caroline. And make sure you tune in next week for our next question.